What's up guys? So I got a few more pieces that I need to make before I give you that official room tour. So in today's video I got a lot to cover. I'm going to show you how to make a backlit LED panel for the TV, along with mounting the TV and also adding an outlet behind the TV, and show you how to just get rid of those wires so you don't have to see them. So this TV panel is going to be part of the future entertainment center that I want to add here. So I'm still designing that. I don't know how complicated or how simple I want to go with it, but this is going to be a two-piece thing. So this is part one of it, and in the future I'm going to have an additional video that complement this. So here's a quick word from today's sponsor, and we're going to get right into the build. Today's video is brought to you by Vikings War of Clans, a game inspired by the famous strategy and also role-play games of the 90s. Now I'm talking games like the Final Fantasy, the Legend of Zelda. These are a few of the games that we all loved and played with dedication. As addictive as the Viking world is, there's over 20 million players online that are consistently changing the way the game evolved by never-ending fights over resources, forging new alliances, and competing in live events. For more information on this project, head over to DIYcreators.com for the written version. Let's get started. For this project, I'll be using birch plywood, but keep in mind you can be as creative as you like. You can use pallet, flooring, exotic wood, you name it, you can use it. And I do have other pieces in this area that will draw a little more attention, so I want this to be a bit subtle. I'll only need to make 2 rips on this plywood. The first one was to trim it down to the height, and the second pass is to trim it down to the width. I'll also need to rip additional pieces for the framing going around the back side of the panel. The entire panel is cut from 1 sheet of plywood. Now I do a ton of sketching before I start a project, and many times I never go according to plan, so I never really know what my project is going to look like until it's done. So along the way I'm always changing things, and one of the things I changed in this build was the thickness of the frame. It started off being 2.5 inch thick, but ended up 1.5. And right after drilling all the pocket holes, this is when it hit me that that just seemed a little thick, and with all the addition of everything, that was going to push the TV out a bit too far. So I ended up cutting these down after I drilled the pocket holes. Pocket hole jigs are for basic joinery, and I love them. They're fun to use, but if you don't have a set, you can just use wood glue and screws. Majority of this will be hidden, so don't worry about anything being seen. After building the frame, I apply wood glue to the bottom, but just keep in mind if you're going with pocket hole screws, which direction is the bottom. Now with the span of the plywood and it being so thin, you will see some flexing, so I created this quick jig so it helped me keep everything positioned in the same spacing going all the way around. And often, simple ideas can make a big difference during a project. With the framing being so thick, I'll need to add these spacers so I can bring out the French cleat pieces to the end. And the final pieces for the back are these dividers, which they're just for support. They're not really meant for anything other than that. In my experience, the quickest way to cover the end of a plywood is just using edge banding, especially the ones that had adhesive on it, so you can use an iron and just put it on. Very simple. Usually the edge banding is wider than the plywood, so they do make a tool that you can come back and shave off that extra. I've used a razor before, but trust me, you want the tool. Before applying my finish, I'm going to take this to the room and install it. When you're mounting a TV, just think about what you want to center it up with. In my case, I'm going to center this up with the bed. And because I'm using this TV back panel, I'm going to find the first location for one of the cleats. Use the stud finder to find the studs in the wall. And to land this on 2 studs, it does offset my center about 2 or 3 inches. Now I did transfer the stud location right onto the first piece of cleat that I have in my hand now. The studs are spaced 16 inches apart, but it's good to double check and confirm. Now if you notice, I did drill down into the wood some so that the screw heads sit flat and don't interfere with the TV panel. All the French cleat pieces were cut to the same width, but the ones that got mounted to the wall, I cut those again so that I have a little bit of a wiggle room. This way I don't have to be pinpoint accurate when mounting. With the first cleat installed, I just need to take a few measurements off of that, double check with the panel, and then tell me where I need to put the second one. Unfortunately, I can only install this side into one stud, so the other end of this will be installed with a heavy duty toggle bolt. When I used to be a technician, I used these bolts all the time to install TVs. And at this point, I'm installing the final pieces to the French cleat system, and that's right to the panels. And you can tell by my reaction, I'm excited to see how well that worked out. And what's an installation without a hanging test? I'm not gonna get too deep on wall mounting the TV, but I'm gonna show you how to put one in an exact location. So visually, you want the same distance from top to bottom and also side to side. I'm gonna get started by removing the things I don't need. This TV had a handle on it, which I don't need, and also stands. I measured the height of the TV, then placed the bracket in the center. This part's not that important, but it's what I did. And I say that because mounting holes are different heights on TVs. And although I installed the spacers on the TV bracket, I eventually removed those because it pushed the TV out too far. Depending on the TV model you have, you may or you may not need them. Before mounting the wall bracket, I attach it to the TV. Now measure from the bracket to the top of the TV. In this case, I'm going to use one of the mounting holes to the top of the TV. Then hold on to that measurement because we'll need that in a second. The two pieces of tape I have set the outside measurement of the bracket. So all I need to worry about is the top to bottom. I hope I don't make this too complicated, but I subtract the height of the TV from the height of the panel. Then I take that number divided by 2. And that put me at about 5.5 inches, which I then measure from the edge and place the mark. Then I'm gonna grab that measurement from the top of the TV to the bracket, measure from the first mark down, and that is where you put your bracket. And maybe there is a simpler way, but with these steps, that will put your TV exactly where you want it. This method should work for any flat brackets. Mounting the bracket in the middle of the panel will work for some TVs, but not all. This TV is only 55 inch and it is something I feel comfortable handling on my own. If you have the slightest doubt, just get help and don't do this on your own. I really didn't have any plan to add this outlet just yet. I was gonna leave that for the entertainment center, but I decided that I'll thank myself later when the work's already done. After marking the location of the electrical box, I then cut out that hole. I didn't want this piece to attract too much visual attention unless the light is off, so I wanted to go with a subtle color like white. Now if you go this route, just think about how you actually want this piece to sit in your space. To avoid seeing wires draped down from the TV to the outlets, I decided I'm going to move the cable over to the TV and also extend the power from here up to the TV. I'm going to work on the outlet while it's live because I need the light in this room to shoot the video, but I'm experienced with working with this stuff, so I would totally recommend that you turn off the breaker before you attempt this. Now with the panel extending so wide, I can just cut a hole right above both of those outlets, and then I'm going to fish up from down below up to the small holes I just cut in. Now this is also an exterior wall, so I don't have the space that I would behind the drywall that I would have on the interior wall. Now that I have the fish tape coming up and out of the hole, I can attach the electrical wire to the fish tape and pull that down to the junction box. Now with that junction box, it's a metal box because it's attached to an exterior wall. By code, you cannot pass an electrical wire through a metal box without using a grommet. And in my area, there is also code on where outlets should be, so I cannot move the one I'm working on now. I can only tap off of it and add one above. I lucked out with the coaxial because it was coming straight down and I was able to intercept it and pull it up. I don't have to do anything with this wire just yet because it's going to get connected right to my cable box. I'm going to wire the new outlet first because the other end is not hooked up and it's safe to go ahead and tie this one in. So this is pretty simple. The white wire is going to go to the silver terminal, the black wire is going to go to the gold terminal, and the copper or the bare wire is going to go to the green terminal. If you happen to be out of the US, then more than likely your hookup is different. At this point, I can connect the new outlet. I'm just gonna take loose the existing wire nuts that are here and tap into those copper for copper, white for white, and black for black. Depending how many wire is at your junction box, you may need to replace the wire nuts so that you can properly tighten those up. No matter how good you are, I totally recommend always just test your outlet before you hook up any device into it. A simple tester like this is good enough to let you know if you have the outlet wired correctly. Now this is my first time using Wi-Fi LEDs and I'm excited about trying these out. And I know you're thinking another project with LEDs, but just keep in mind I'm never gonna have all these on at one time. So for me, lights set the mood in a space and I got them in different locations that I wanna set a mood. Plus it's great to have options. The LED strip will be wrapped around the entire frame of the back. This strip seems to have a much better adhesive on it than ones I've had in the past. But I'll still recommend dabbing a little bit of hot glue on it in a few locations so that this don't lift up. The hole next to the outlet, it's just there so I can pass wire through the panel. I'll need to pass the LED controller through it and also the coaxial cable. I have the panel hung and now I can tighten up the outlet. For this setup, I gotta add an extension cord because I need at least 3 outlets, one for the TV, one for the LEDs, and one for the cable box. The TV bracket I'm using has 2 safety locks on them, but this panel doesn't, but you can add a couple screws in it to secure this to the wall. Just add the screws behind the TV so that you can't see them. And lastly, I just need to place the LED controller. And this is just for quick access because I can control this via my phone. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As I said in the beginning, this is also going to be a part of the entertainment center that I'm going to build here. I don't know what kind of style I want to put to it yet. So if you guys got some cool ideas and it fit what I need, I'm going to incorporate it. I think I'm looking for something slim. I'm not looking for nothing too big or complicated yet. So that's still in the design phase and I have to figure something out. A big thank you to Vikings War of Clans for sponsoring today's video, and thank you for tuning in. A great way to support what I do is by downloading Vikings for free using my link down in the video description. That will let them know that you guys are supporting my channel and hopefully they support me in the future. And for your generous support, you'll get a free bonus 200 gold coins and also a protective shield. That is it for this one. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one.